Welcome to another episode. Today on the show we have Muzz. How are you today? You okay?
I'm good.
Tell us why I called you on. Tell us what you do, man.
I think you just want a brief idea of what accountants in the modern age do. So I'm just here to provide my perspective from a person who's a part qualified accountant. Studied a bit of economics and law in the past at A-level. But yeah, just want to give a brief overview of what happens in the world of finance, really.
Excellent, man. Thank you for coming on as well. So yeah, give us a brief overview of what the role of an accountant is in today's world, essentially in 2018.
Yep. So this is a funny one. In 2018, the role of an accountant is a lot different to the stereotypical view. So a lot of people think an accountant is just a boring person in a grey suit sitting in an office, crunching number on the calculator. But I think the role of modern accountants is a lot different than what it was maybe 5-10 years ago. So obviously with the introduction of computers and the advancements in technology in terms of automation and AI, means accountants are expected to do a lot more analysis and value add. So we need to be like proficient in Excel, be good at forecasting, budgeting, stuff like that, and overall just contributing to the overall success of the business. That might be helping out other departments, figuring out how they spent money in the past and how they should go ahead spending the money in the future, really.
Excellent. Obviously, like you mentioned, it's an ever-evolving industry, essentially.
Yep.
With, like you said, AI and everything coming to tech, how does that directly impact the future of the business of finance, essentially?
So I'd say automation and artificial intelligence will have a huge impact on accountancy in general as a profession. I think the main impact it will have is it will eliminate the need for a lot of the admin that has historically been required of accountants. So that might be basic stuff like responding to supply queries, processing invoices and stuff like that, really. So I think the really basic concept of bookkeeping will become extinct in the next 5-10 years. I've already seen it in the 2 jobs I've worked at. I've seen no need for people to be pulling data from invoices.
This can all be done through tech and all different means.
Yeah, so one example is the invoicing process. So the majority of the time, a lot of companies and firms have people employed specifically to process invoices. That might be pulling all the information and then uploading onto a certain system, an accountancy software package. But now it's fully automated. So you have, for example, one of the tools I use is you forward on an email, that's the email attachment, and the software will just pull all the information for you, and all you have to do is review.
So all that legwork is just cut out immediately, within seconds.
Exactly, and it's all automated, and it's really cheap. So it completely eradicates the need for basic level accounting roles in that sense. And
this benefits even the smaller firms as well.
Yep.
I'm guessing it's more affordable. They need to employ less people to run it and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So that's one of the areas people are really hesitant about when they go ahead and start businesses. I need to have the services of an accountant to do my bookkeeping for me. But then you see companies like Xero, who are like a massive cloud accounting software company. I think they're based in New Zealand, and Receipt Bank, for example, just automating the whole process, making it really easy for small business owners to do the
It's not as arduous as a business owner thinks.
Exactly, yeah. It's not as hard, it's getting easier and easier, and ideally that's the way you want it, right?
That's true.
You want people to be opening their own businesses and not be scared of certain concepts that they haven't really got the grasp of. Yeah.
Okay. It's excellent to hear. Let's throw it back to way before even getting a job. If we just kind of go back to uni level stuff. So obviously, for example, a pre-graduate, they'll obviously do university, they get a degree after that. So while you're at university in that final year, for example, doing your dissertation and going through all the whole process of final preparations towards final exams of uni, what career process are you open to, in the sense? As in, do people come and talk to you about your career prospects, or do you have to go out and hunt, this is what I want to do, this is what field I want to get into?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much up to the individual, which path he wants to take in terms of his career. So the most obvious career route for any graduate accountant would be naturally just to get a job in a firm. So your standard high street accounting firm or one of the big four, basically just doing the accounts for companies, tax returns, VAT, stuff like that.
So that's the basic roles of an accountant.
Exactly, yeah. The more mundane bookkeeping roles that people normally associate with accounting. But I chose to take a different route straight out of uni. So I went straight into industry after university, rather than working for a firm or aiming to apply to get a job at the Big Four, for example.
What was that little factor that said, I want to do industry?
I've always been a guy who thinks about stuff before they do it, rather than following set procedures. So I asked myself the questions of, do I want to be working in a firm? Will I enjoy it? Will I be interested in the work? Or will I get bored after 2 years and and completely get bored of accountancy in general. So I decided to work in industry, privately owned company funded by Google, as my first role after university.
Was that an enjoyable experience? So going straight out of uni, going to a smaller firm, essentially. How did it benefit you, first of all?
I think there are a lot of benefits and obviously downsides to working straight in industry. So one of the main downsides is in terms of applying your knowledge you learn at uni. So a lot of the stuff you'd be doing in a firm would be the stuff you learn at uni, and it will be quite mundane and repetitive, really. And the biggest draw for me for private industry was the exposure that I would give. So my first company, I was hired as an intern for a 3-month period with a view to become full-term as part of the finance team. So it's the finance team inside the company itself. And in the 2.5 years I spent there, I learned a lot about all areas of business. So I got involved in stuff that I wouldn't have been involved in if I was working for a firm.
So you have to be a bit more hands-on, essentially. You have to
Exactly.
You have to branch out. Your flexibility and versatility had to be tested, essentially.
Exactly. When you move into a private industry rather than a firm, there's more scope for progression, getting your hands on stuff you wouldn't normally be doing, and just becoming an all-round accountant, really. Getting stuck in wherever you can, questioning processes, procedures, just trying to become better, just trying to find better ways of doing things, really, and problem solving. So yeah.
And I'm guessing you're, say, in a smaller firm, for example, because there's obviously less layers between yourself and, say, someone who is a decision maker, is a lot less, so therefore you have great impact, would you say, in a smaller firm?
I'd agree with that, especially where I was working. So the 2 companies I worked for to date, both been, you can class them as startups or small to medium businesses.
How many years were you saying from actually being established to where you started working?
Yes, I think both companies were founded around the same time, so say the early 2010s. So 2011, 2012.
So we're talking within about 10-year period.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And they were both funded by Google. So the headcount was quite small. I think the current company I'm at is about 100 people, and the previous company I was at was about 60 or 70. So there wasn't much distance from where I was to the top. So that was one thing I really enjoyed. Is if you wanted something done, you could just do it yourself and see the impact every day. Whereas if you're working for the big four or in the corporate world, it's a lot more difficult.
Counting things, rather than
there's like a set way of doing things, and they're a lot more rigid and less willing to change how they do stuff, really.
So I'm guessing this is where things like policies and company policies, all of that comes into place.
Exactly.
Safekeeping. Okay, I understand. So, for example, you have your uni students come out of uni deciding where to go. For example, they have chosen now, just like yourself, going to a small industry or to go into something else. If they wanted to become accredited now, for example, I understand you are under the accreditation of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, abbreviated to ACCA.
Yep.
How do you get involved with that kind of stuff? So, do you have to sign up? Do you have to go? You have to go find someone who actually does the training. So, how does that work?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways of doing things. The university course I chose provided me with a few exemptions for my exams. Mm-hmm. So my whole course and my degree was structured around the ACCA syllabus. So everything I learned over the 3-year period was heavily based on the ACCA curriculum.
Tied into
exactly. Yeah. So once I graduated university, I could apply to the ACCA to become a member and a student. And I think there are 14 exams in total. And my university course and my degree allowed me to claim exemptions on 9 of those exams.
9?
Yep, 9 out of the 14. So when I graduated, I only have to do 5 more exams to become a fully chartered accountant.
And these 5 exams, in what sort of time period do you have to finish them in?
So I think when I graduated, they just updated the rules. So you had to finish your qualification within a 7-year period. So that's 7 years beginning from the time where you pass your first exam. So I passed my first exam in December 16.
So it's 7 years from that date, essentially.
So by December 2024 is when I need to pass my exams by.
And I'm guessing your aim is to actually finish well before that?
Exactly, yeah. Oh, cool. I'm not like heavily focused on getting it done as soon as possible. I don't want to spread myself out, but it provides the flexibility to just complete the exams whenever you want. So like for me, for example, I just find it easy just to do it near the end of the year. So I'd sit all my exams in December. Whereas some people might find it easier to do it in March. I think there's 4 sittings a year. So it's entirely up to the student when they want to sit there.
That's great. That's a lot better than what you'd expect. And say when you were at uni and stuff, you had a set date. You had to do it within that time frame. Mm-hmm. Now, sitting these exams, obviously their exams, they're always going to be daunting, they're always going to be a little bit nerve-wracking. What helps you prepare for these exams? For example, does your work help you? Do they give you time off to sit these exams to prepare for them?
Yeah, so I've been really lucky in the fact that the two companies I've worked at provided me with a lot of support for my studies. So they were really generous with study leave, paying for my tuition. So I studied through Kaplan, based in London Bridge. So they fully funded the tuition for that. They provided me with study leave for those days I was out of the office. And they also provided me study leave for the week before the exam. And it's a similar situation to where I am now. And it always helps working in a finance team where people have already completed the qualification, so they can always provide you with pointers and advice and how to balance study and work, because that's probably the biggest challenge.
So they can better empathise with you in that sort of situation,
and they're a lot more understanding rather than if you're working for a firm where everyone's doing the same thing, and it's really really cutthroat environment where if you don't pass an exam or two, you're probably going to lose your job.
The pressure cracks on.
Exactly,
right. Yeah. So, what other ideas do you have lined up? Your own personal ideas that you like to implement in your place of work that may benefit you in your own career and benefit the company essentially as well?
Yeah. So one of the main reasons I was hired by this current company I'm currently at was just to review all the current ways of doing things. So they just want me to come in with a fresh pair of eyes, review all the stuff that was going on in the company, and basically just find out areas we can improve in terms of making the process more efficient. Saving a bit of money in that sense. So it's a really interesting role because no 2 days are the same. You're not doing the same repetitive tax return every day. Stuff you might be doing if you're working for a large firm. It's all about problem solving, trying to come up with solutions to problems that no one's thought about before. Mm-hmm. And it's a really really good environment in the fact that you can always challenge a process or a certain way of doing things and give your 2 cents of how you think it could be done better.
It has a bit more weight in
exactly,
your line of work as well. Excellent. Coming out of university now, say for example, you have a graduate that's looking for a job now, looking for a place for a place of work. Is it as easy as you would put it, or is it a lot more harder to get into the market for that sort of industry?
I think we're living in a bubble where we've graduated in an environment where it's really really difficult to get a job anyway. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're good enough, you'll find the right job. And I think you've got to be clear about what exactly you're looking for in a job. So for me, I was completely put off by the corporate environment, working for the Big Four, all the stereotypical jobs people normally apply for as an accountant.
Exactly.
I'd rather have something where I might be earning a bit less, but I'd be given that flexibility to really see the fruits of my labour really, and make a real impact on the place I was working. Yeah,
and it's pleasant to hear that people can do that as well. As rather than just saying no, I have to work in a big office environment with 400 people by my side competing with me. It's nice to hear that there are other routes out of it, or other routes towards a great success. Yeah. Essentially,
I think it's really advertised how big the accounting world is, mm-hmm. because I think many graduates before they graduate they don't really do the research in terms of where can I go, what are the options for me in terms of where I can work. Everyone just seems to think for some reason, at least that's the vibe I got, was you have to work for the Big Four, otherwise you're a failure. Which didn't really make sense because there's thousands of accounting firms in London alone. And obviously every privately owned company will have their own internal finance team as well. So I think graduates need to have a really clear idea of the environment they're graduating in, mm-hmm. And then make the choices that are important to them, because the worst thing you can do from a development perspective is burn yourself out in terms of chasing the money, because in my personal view it's always better to focus on your development personally and professionally, especially in your 20s really. So you want to get to the end of your 20s in a place where you know where your strengths are, you know where your weaknesses are, and you've developed as much as you can in both senses. So I think for me personally, I thought it would be detrimental to my progression if I went straight into the Big Four, and that's not to slight anyone who thinks that's the right way to do it, but obviously everyone has their own way of doing things.
No, very true. So what's that one gem of advice you'd say, or to sort of summarise, graduates are coming out trying to get a job, trying to get accredited, what's that one piece of gem of advice you'd give?
I'd say, do you want to learn or do you want to make money? So there's a big difference.
That's great to hear. So we're fully aware that Brexit is, let's be honest, is in motion.
Yep.
Theresa May and the pagans in the government
Pagan,
obviously putting into rolling it out essentially. How do you think Brexit will affect the industry that you work in at the moment?
I think it will have a massive impact. We saw it right away after the Brexit was announced in terms of foreign currency. So obviously the pound dipped a lot, and if companies didn't have any contingency plans, they would have lost a lot of money. In terms of the sterling being so much less valuable than it previously was, because it was, let's be completely honest, it was a massive shock when the news came out that we had voted to leave.
That was a memorable night.
Yeah, it was.
Happened at my house as
I
well.
remember walking out of your house at 4 a.m.
It was very silent.
It was just a weird experience. Like, we're gonna remember this moment for the rest of our lives. Like, this is the moment Britain took a left turn. Really,
it was the one time Jonas was actually inside the country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So imagine coming back to your hometown, London, and you see your country.
His best story was when he landed at the airport. He tried to give his old fiver, and he rejected it twice because that's the only money he had.
Yeah.
The state of this country, eh?
State of this country.
Exactly. So, with Brexit, essentially, how much of an impact do you feel as though have on the single market, which is also known as the European Economic Area?
Yep.
So this is, as a general overview, this is where the single market is where other countries which are within the EU and selected non-EU countries such as, I think it's Norway and Iceland or Finland or something, they actually get to operate within this area. So how would that impact things like accountancy and getting jobs elsewhere, or getting jobs to that place?
I think the most immediate impact would be in terms of trading.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, obviously, if you're part of the single market, you have the benefit of not being charged any tariffs on your sales. Then I think companies will also need a lot of advice in the fact that a lot of countries would do the majority of their business in the EU, so they would need immediate tax advice from accountants and accounting professionals about how the changes in the market would impact them from a regulation perspective.
So this actually doesn't mean you have to relax, this means you have to be a bit more on your toes.
Yeah, I think
there's going to be more laws coming in.
I think in the world of business, people will see an opportunity and pounce for it. So I think if you look back, you'd see a lot of entities popping up who would provide advice on how businesses should transition into the new way of doing things in the EU. So yeah, I think that's a short-term impact. You'd have a lot of companies looking for money, so companies got to be careful about where they're spending the money, because there'll be people giving advice and making money on things that they don't know anything about, really. Making
a buck of someone else's downfalls.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the medium-term impact will probably be in terms of companies trading. So I think companies would more and more often look to move out from Britain into the EU. So we've seen a few examples of a few banks looking to relocate from London to Hamburg and Frankfurt, I think it was.
Yeah, there's a few bits out in the news.
And I think EasyJet moved as well to Brussels or Belgium or something, just so they can continue to reap the benefits of being in the single market. So I think that would be a medium-term impact. Obviously that won't happen until Britain leaves the EU, but
2019 is scheduled.
Yeah, March 2019 or something. I think
it's a year away.
Yeah, is it May? It might be May 2019. I'm not really sure, but that would be the medium-term impact. You'd see more and more companies leaving Britain, just because at the end of the day, when you operate in a capitalist society, you want to maximise your profits. Really, you're operating for your shareholders. So,
and if you're away from it, or if you're not in the party, there's
exactly. You're just putting yourself at a disadvantage if you continue operating from the UK. So you'd see people moving out just to retain the benefits of being in the single market, like we said, benefiting from being in the EU, which means no tariffs and lower prices and more sales. Really.
Does this mean that job opportunities open up in the EU, where, for example, if there was an opportunity that came up in Brussels, for example, would it mean that they're in more demand of your concerns, or would it mean Britain is more in demand for your expertise rather than them?
I think it means Britain gets frozen out in a sense, really. So you'd see an outflux of people leaving Britain for the EU. A lot of these accounting qualifications are global, so they'd be valid in any part of the world, really. So like the ACCA I'm studying is a global accreditation.
So you can go anywhere in the world and say, I've got this, and they'll be like, oh, that's great.
Yep.
from before.
Exactly. And
So I'm guessing ACCA is more or less your gold standard essentially. As in, once you've got that, they know this individual is up to scratch.
Yeah, it's probably from my view, if I understand it correctly, it's the most global qualification. So it will let you become. You're pretty versatile in the fact that you can travel anywhere and still be attractive to possible employers. So I think Britain can expect some of its best talent to leave in terms of finance professionals to the EU, just because of the fact that there'd be more money there, and firms will probably look for people who have operated in the UK, just for that experience, just so that when they go forward they know how to deal with the UK and they already know the ins and outs of how stuff operates here.
It's like when you have your rival player go to
Exactly, yeah.
It's
It's like Sanchez leaving to Man United. Or
does that do that?
he does. Actually, no, they got Mourinho, so
Tip attack.
yeah, it doesn't matter.